Hey y'all, it's Ryan, and welcome back to our Angels franchise here on Out of the Park Baseball 27. In this episode, we are going to be tackling the offseason. I have not yet advanced the calendar past October 30th. There are a couple small things that I have done that I just wanted to bring attention to. So if we go to player development, I did just slightly tick up the draft budget to just above the recommended draft slot amounts. Now it's at $13.75 million. And I did meet the amateur signing cap. I increased that a bit up to $6.25 million. And I also lowered the price of our ticket prices for next year just because I thought that would be the right thing to do. We put out a very dreadful product out on the field last year. I certainly couldn't raise the prices, so I thought in an attempt to be nice to the fans, we are going to lower them slightly to $37.50. And so you can see that heading into the offseason now, we have $60 million available, including $71 million for extensions. The other thing I've done is I have set up our player development lab for the winter, and we have selected our 8 guys. Juan Guerra, I have hopefully to improve his two-strike approach. Caden Dana to increase his pitch movement. Nolan to generate bat speed. Angel Martinez to increase his quality of contact. The same thing for Christian Moore. Zach Konstantinovsky and Tyler Bremner, hopefully they can increase their pitch movement. And Trevor Condon, our first-round pick, hopefully to improve his plate discipline. So the goal for this offseason is to become a more competent major league team, right? And I'm not expecting the playoffs. I'm not even necessarily expecting us to go 500. I just want us to be a little more competitive than we were in 2026 because, as I stated throughout the entirety of the first season, this team was not scoring runs. We were not preventing runs, and we lost a lot of games, 57 and 105. That is not acceptable. As I said, I'm not expecting 500, but if we could just get to somewhere in the mid to high 70 win range, that would be like a 20-win jump from this year. But I think if we just get the right guys in free agency or through trades, I think we can become more respectable in 2027. That's at least the goal. So the first step that we are going to tackle is salary arbitration. Now, there were some arbitration eligible players, guys like Alek Manoah and Caleb Ort, Nick Madrigal, Jose Siri, guys like that I really was not interested in bringing back. And actually, I suppose I could just go to my transaction log here and complete transactions log. So you can see the 6 guys that were arbitration eligible that we released. I just was not really too interested in bringing any of those guys back, either in a AAA capacity or a Major League roster capacity. In fact, some of these guys, they did not have any minor league options anyway. So we're going to let them test free agency, see what they can get out there on the open market. So these are the 5 remaining guys that I want to bring back that were arbitration eligible this year. And what I like to do, I don't like to go to arbitration. I generally just offer these guys a contract extension somewhere around their arbitration estimate, and normally they will be happy to accept it. So for example, you see Grayson Rodriguez, he's asking for a 1-year major league contract with a salary of $4.32 million. I do not want to bring him back quite at that number. You can see his arbitration estimate is $3.2 million. So I offered him $3 million initially, and he was not happy with that. He went back to his initial offer. So I'm just going to offer him $3.1 million instead of $3.2. And he said that sounds reasonable. So we're going to submit that offer to Grayson Rodriguez and withdraw the arbitration offer. Ben Joyce is another guy that we're going to bring back. You can see that he had an ERA of 4.33 last year and a FIP of 4.15. He held batters to an opposing average of 199, which I think is pretty good. Now, the BABIP was low at 252, but you can see throughout his career, he generally has run lower BABIPs. His strikeout rate of 27.6% was actually higher than that really good year he had in 2024, and his walk rate got cut by almost 1%. His strand rate was not nearly as high as it was in 2024. 2024, he stranded 84.5% of the runners that he let reach base. This year, it was 69.9%, which is not very nice, but we are going to re-sign him. We're going to have him towards the back end of our bullpen, most likely, and I'm pretty comfortable with that for at least another year because he's only 26 years old. He doesn't turn 27 until very late into the 2027 season. So we're going to offer him a contract extension. Now, his arbitration estimate is only $1.3 million. He's asking for 1.4, so I'm going to give him 1.25 million. I'm happy with that, and we're going to withdraw that offer. Logan O'Hoppe, he's still going to be out for another 7 months with that broken bone in his elbow. He was not very good for us this year when he was healthy, a 647 OPS, 2025 was 629. 2024, that's when it seemed like maybe he could be something. 20 home runs with an OPS over 700 as a catcher, and he was close to a 3-win player. Unfortunately, he's just gotten worse. So we are going to give him a contract extension just because I don't think it's going to cost quite that much. Now, he's asking for $6.5 million, which is kind of ridiculous. His arbitration estimate is $4.6 million. So we eventually got to, I gave him a couple lower amounts and he was not happy with that. We're going to offer him $4.5 million and see what he does. It's a little under his arbitration estimate. We have the money to burn, which is fine, but I was hoping, you see, he made $2.625 million this year. I definitely didn't want to give him over $6 million just because there's a slight chance that maybe he comes back after this injury and he does become at least a good part of a catching duo, right? Because there is some offensive upside to his game, especially with the 60 rate power as a 26-year-old catcher. The defensive ratings aren't very good, but I just want to see at least one more season of what it looks like with him before I kind of make a further determination on whether or not I want him here for the long term. Shonwell, we definitely want to bring back. His arbitration estimate is $3 million. His current salary this year was $800,000. And even though he did not do quite as well as I thought he would this year, I do definitely want to bring him back. Not at $3.3 million. Mind you, I'd like to get him a little under that number. We offered him $2.9 million. It seems like he's happy with that. So we are going to go back here. And the last guy that is arbitration eligible is Zach Neto, who of course we would like to bring back because hopefully he's going to be a part of our core for a while at only 25 years old. I don't know if he's going to be at shortstop forever. In fact, I'd really like to move him to a different position at some point, I think, just because the 55 range, I don't know if that's quite good enough to stick at short. But still, he was a 1.2 win player last year, a 732 OPS, which he had a really, really rough start. So 19 home runs. He ended up stealing 14 bases. I think he can do better. I know he can do better. So we're going to bring him back. This year, he made $4.1 million. His arbitration estimate is $7 million. If we've got to offer him a contract extension, he's actually open to a long-term extension. Now, I'm not totally against it. I don't know if I want to lock him up quite this long, but the fact that he's open to a long-term extension and only 25 years old, I'm fine buying out the last few years of his arbitration-eligible seasons and then buying out some early free agency years. You can see he hits free agency, he's slated to hit free agency at age 29, so I'm going to mess around here, try to find a longish term extension. I don't want it to be quite this long. I don't want it to be 9 years. But I want to see if there's an extension out there that makes sense for Neto and that makes sense for us to lock him up here long term, because I would like him to be a part of this organization for a while. He's one of the few good young pieces that we have, so I'd love to see him be an Angel here for a while. Okay, so this is what we've settled on here for Neto. So we've settled on 5 years, which buys out the final 3 years of his arbitration and then his first 2 free agency years. So he gets to hit the free agency market again at age 30. So we're going to give him a 5-year deal. That final year is a team option with a buyout worth $5.5 million. Hopefully we don't have to use that, but we're going to offer him $6.9 million for 2027, $10 million for 28, $13 million for 29, $20.5 million for his first free agency year in 2030, and $23 million for that team option year. If he's the type of player that I think he is going to be for us, I think that this is a pretty solid contract to lock him up for, and I'm pretty happy with it. So we're going to submit the offer. So 5 years, $73.4 million. It's a little off of what his demand was, but if he wants to be here as an Angel, I think that he will accept it. So we are going to offer that to him. Our pending free agents, I don't really want to bring any of these guys back either. All of our veterans, d'Arnaud, Moncada, Pomeranz, Stevenson, Suter, Taylor, and Yates. I do want to see what's out there on the free agents market. These pending free agents with potential compensation, I'm obviously not going to offer any of these guys the qualifying offer. None of them are even close to worth the $22.4 million qualifying offer. So I'm just going to release all of these guys. I'll see what's out there in free agency. I'm not against necessarily reuniting with any of these 7 guys if the price was right. But for right now, I'm just going to release them to free agency just to get them off of the screen. Christian Vasquez, he is our one pending free agent without any type of compensation that could be attached to him. I'm also going to release him as well. He started off really well when we acquired him as a minor league free agent there in mid-June, and then he just kind of fell off, which was to be expected. I was a little surprised that he was hitting as well as he was. You can see that he actually finished, despite how good he is defensively, he finished as a negative value player, negative 0.2 WAR. He had 209 with a 260 OBP, a 572 OPS. Once again, this is another guy who I'm not against bringing back if there's no better options, but I want to see what the catcher market looks like, whether it's a trade or whether it's just in free agency. So we're going to release him. And all of these pending minor league free agents, apparently the players are upset to see Christian Vasquez leave. That's a shame. I'm going to offer all of these guys, all of our pending minor league free agents, I'm going to offer them minor league contracts. If they want to come back, great. If they want any type of major league contract offer, I'm going to say goodbye to them. And I'll take stock again, probably at some point in spring training. And if I have to end up releasing any of these guys to make sure I have room for guys that I want to make sure get the playing time, I will do it at that time. But for right now, I'm just going to tender contracts, minor league contracts to all of these guys, and we'll see how many we retain. I'm also going to do something else off screen. As a reminder, we have 4 job openings throughout our organization, including bench coach with our major league team and manager at our AAA team. So I'm going to take a look at the available coaches and put out some offers to some of those guys as well. I'm going to do that off screen. So I'm just going to do that, simulate up ahead a little bit, and I will be back shortly. Okay, it is Saturday, November 7th, 2026. The awards are going to start getting announced here over the next several days. And if we go to the salary arbitration screen, it is empty. So all of our arbitration eligible players and all of our impending minor league free agents agreed to contract extensions. The big move, of course, was Zach Neto, who did accept the 5-year contract extension worth $73.4 million over the next 5 seasons with that team option there for the 5th year. Very happy to have Zach here for at least the next 4 seasons, hopefully the next 5 seasons. He's only 25. He turns 26 in January, and I'm glad that he will be an Angel here for the foreseeable future. Of course, we also re-up Nolan Shonwell, Grayson Rodriguez, Ben Joyce, and Logan O'Hoppe, along with a lot of minor league free agents. And if we go to front office and personnel, our new bench coach at the major league level is going to be Jimmy Gonzalez. Our new manager for the Salt Lake Bees at AAA will be Eddie Heredia. Our new pitching coach for the Tri-City Dust Devils at High A is Eddie Hernandez. And our new pitching coach for our rookie league team in the Arizona Complex League is Roberto De Leon. And the awards are being announced now, so let's go to the Offseason Center, and we will take a look here at who won the Gold Glove Awards here in the American League first. It was Ryan Weathers at pitcher. For the Yankees, at catcher, it was Dylan Dingler. For the Tigers, Randy Rosarena at first base. For the Mariners, Jazz Chisholm Jr. at second base for the Yankees. Josh Young, the third baseman for the Rangers. Bobby Witt Jr. at shortstop for the Royals. Everson Pereira in left field for the White Sox. Dalton Varsho, the Blue Jays center fielder. And Wilyer Abreu, the right fielder for the Red Sox. In the NL, Jose Soriano, who we traded to the Padres. Nice to see that he won a Gold Glove. Patrick Bailey at catcher. Matt Olson at first. Nico Horner at second. Nolan Arenado at third. Ezekiel Tovar at short. Nathan Church, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Fernando Tatis Jr. were your outfield Gold Gloves in the National League. Today is the Reliever of the Year award, and in the American League, it went to Camilo Doval, who it seems like had a very good season. It seems like he only had 3 saves, and yet he still won Reliever of the Year with a 1.24 ERA. That is very surprising that he only had 3 saves. Chapman finished second, and he had 32 saves. That seems about right. Did that really say? Yeah, he only had 3 saves, and he won Reliever of the Year. Wow. 1.7 win pitcher, though, for Camilo. So good season for him, the former Giant. Jose Barrios was a reliever for the Blue Jays, it looks like, and he finished third in Reliever of the Year voting, followed by Ryan Helsley and Griffin Jax. In the National League, not too surprising, Joan Duran of the Phillies is the National League Reliever of the Year. 46 saves for Mr. Duran, an ERA of 1.78, a FIP of 2.17. He was a 3-win player as a reliever, a 230 ERA, plus he had a heck of a season for the Phillies. And then there are the other relievers that were in contention, but it seems like nobody could touch Duran. Silver Slugger Award winners now in the American League. It was Adley Rutschman at catcher, Pete Alonso at first, Jazz Chisholm at second, Jose Ramirez at third, Gunnar Henderson at short, Roman Anthony in left field, Aaron Judge in center field. Wow, he had a heck of a season. And Matt Wallner in right field. That's a bit of a surprise. And the designated hitter, Nick Kurtz. And in the National League, Hunter Goodman at catcher, Kyle Schwarber at first base. So he started 116 games at first base. He played 1,000 innings there in the field. Why was he playing first base? Did Harper get injured? Take a look here. We'll go to the Phillies, and Harper's listed as their first baseman. He only started 40 games there, though. So I wonder if maybe they were using Harper as the DH and Schwarber as the first baseman. I don't know. Maybe if Harper got injured at some point and then they just kept Schwarber at first base. I don't know. That is very interesting. But either way, Schwarber is your Silver Slugger at first base in the National League in 2026. Wow, was not expecting that. Ketel Marte at second base, Manny Machado at third, Trey Turner at short, Teoscar Hernandez in left field, Kyle Tucker in center field, Ronald Acuna Jr. in right field, and at DH, Shohei Ohtani. Rookie of the Year coming up, and in the American League, it was Zach Cole of the Houston Astros. Zach Cole is an outfielder, and it seems like this year a 760 OPS, 19 home runs, 56 runs batted in, 11 stolen bases. He was a 2-win player, a WRC plus of 111. He won it over Carson Williams of the Tampa Bay Rays, who is a shortstop. He had an OPS of just 677, but he was a 3-win player. I assume defensively he was very, very good. 15 home runs, 52 runs batted in, 7 stolen bases, and not surprisingly, we did not have any candidates for Rookie of the Year this year. In the National League, it went to Sal Stewart of the Cincinnati Reds. Their first baseman had 12 home runs, 56 runs batted in, a 778 OPS in his rookie season, 111 WRC plus. He was a 2-win player. He won the award over Sung Mun Song of the San Diego Padres, who hit 259, 319, 391 for an OPS of 710. He was about league average with the bat. 2-win player, 12 home runs, 51 runs batted in, and 20 stolen bases for the Padres' second baseman. Manager of the Year, is it me? No, why would it be me? John Schneider, no surprise, of the Toronto Blue Jays. They had a very, very good season. And in the National League, Rob Thompson, glad to see that. A lot of Phillies representation here in the awards. Cy Young Award coming up in the American League. It was Jack Leiter of the Texas Rangers, a 2.26 ERA. He led the league. An opposing OPS of 555, strikeout rate of 23.4%, walk rate of just 6.4%, so he cut that down by 4% from 2025. 181 ERA plus. He was close to a 4-win pitcher. Great season for Jack Leiter. He just won it. He got 100. He actually tied Ranger Suarez, who finishes in second, but Jack Leiter got the 12 first place votes, which I guess put him over the edge. Ranger Suarez had what looks to be an equally good season. In fact, a 296 ERA, a 294 FIP, an opposing OPS of 590. He actually had a higher WAR than Leiter at 5.3, a 144 ERA plus. So they both finished with 146 total points, but I guess the first place votes put Leiter over the edge over Suarez. Tarek Skubal had 116 points. He pitches close to 200 innings, a 3.53 ERA, but a sterling 2.27 FIP, a 56 FIP minus. He had 7.6 WAR. You could really make the argument that Skubal should have gotten it again. I'm a little surprised that he didn't, but he did at least finish on the podium in the top 3. And in the National League, Chris Sale of the Atlanta Braves edges out Chris Sanchez of the Phillies. So Chris Sale this season at age 37 pitched 187 and 2/3 innings, a 278 ERA, a 293 FIP, 205 opposing batting average, 586 opposing OPS, a 145 ERA plus. He was a 5-win pitcher. Let's see what Chris Sanchez did for the Phillies. So he led the NL with a 2.67 ERA and a 2.56 FIP. He was a 6-win pitcher, a 62 FIP minus. Barely allowed any home runs at all, a 0.4 home runs per 9 innings allowed in 178 and a third innings pitched. If it was me, I probably would have gone Sanchez for the National League and Skubal for the American League, but I do not vote on these things, so we will just move on ahead to MVP in the AL. Aaron Judge, no surprise, it said he had a very good season, and it looks like it was an MVP-worthy season. He was a 6-win player, 47 home runs, so just a little off the home run pace he set in 2024 and 2025. It seems like he missed some time, so that probably did it. 107 runs batted in, 104 walks, 18.4% walk rate, a 410 OBP, a 611 slugging. Another great season for Mr. Judge. Josh Chisholm finished in second, and Gunnar Henderson gets the third place on the podium. In the NL, it was Ronald Acuna Jr., who won the NL MVP award in 2026, 30 home runs, 83 runs batted in. But he led the National League in all of the triple slash categories, led it in batting average, OBP, and slugging for an OPS over 1,000, a 185 WRC+. Plus. He led the National League in that as well. Great season for Acuna, who edges out Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani this year, as a pitcher, he pitched 67 and 2/3 innings with a 4.79 ERA and a 3.88 FIP. He was worth 1 win just as a pitcher. As a batter, he was worth 5.7 wins. So a 337 average, 419 OBP, 775 slugging percentage for Ohtani, 38 home runs, 79 runs batted in. He stole 17 bases. Wow, I'm a little surprised Ohtani didn't win MVP here. Kyle Tucker finishes third, who it seemed like he had a pretty solid season. And OPS of 958, WRC plus of 161, 41 home runs for Mr. Tucker, a career high, 100 runs batted in. Okay, it is Sunday, November 22nd, 2026. The free agents have filed for the offseason. The international free agents also entered the market. I took a look, and there's not really anybody out there. There's Manny Ramirez, but of course it's not that Manny Ramirez, no relation. That'd be pretty cool. But the free agents have filed, so we will take a look here at the free agency list, and you can see the top 5 on the market this year. Brandon Woodruff, Pete Fairbanks, Hunter Harvey, who seems like he tore his rotator cuff last season. That stinks. It seems like he was having a pretty good season, too. Damn. George Springer and Randy Arozarena are your top 5. We're not really going to be playing at this level of the free agent market. We're going to be looking not quite in the bargain bin, so to say, but we're going to be looking for some cheaper options. We do have close to $70 million available for free agents, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to spend all $70 million of that, at least initially. We're just going to look for guys who, as I said at the start of the video, are going to help us be respectable and competitive on the field this year. And if we take a look, if we go back to our roster, we need a catcher 100%. We need one of those. We need a third baseman 100%. We need at minimum, a couple bullpen arms, maybe 3. Maybe we could look at getting a veteran starting pitcher to put in the rotation, and maybe we find somebody that can play a little bit better in center field than Christian Moore. Now, I think he could probably handle himself, but he only has 60 range, and my center fielders, I tend to want them to be at least 65 minimum, so theoretically, I could bump Moore to a corner outfield spot. His defensive ratings would play well there, or even I could try to put him at second base and see if he can do well there because of 55 range, 55 turn double play. It's not elite by any means, but I think he could handle himself at least at second base, and he does have some experience playing the position, second base. So we'll see what we do with Moore. He's definitely not going to be our center fielder next year. I'm going to get a different option. It's just a matter of, are we going to bump him to left field or right field, or are we going to bump him to second base, in which case that opens up a corner outfield spot for somebody. So let's take a look. Let's start with center fielder because I want to help my pitchers as much as possible, and defense up the middle is so crucial in out-of-the-park baseball. You want your center fielder to be as good defensively as you can possibly find. I think hopefully in the future, Trevor Condon, our first-round pick in this past draft, can be that guy for us, but we need somebody for right now. So I did set up a filter, and I was looking for outfielders who have a contact rating of 50 or higher, a range grade of 65 or higher, and an I grade of, I believe, 45 or higher. And unfortunately, there's only 2 options that we have to work with using that exact filter. And I'll just go here so you can see contact at least 45, outfield range at least 65, and I at least 45. So contact not 50, it was contact at least 45 grade. And we only have 2 options. We have Cedric Mullins and we have Miles Straw to pick from. Now we're going to give a contract to one of these 2 guys to be our center fielder for the 2027 season. Neither of them are compensation free agents. Cedric Mullins right now, he has a demand of $9 million. He's 32 years old. They're both 32 years old. Coincidentally, they were born just like 2 weeks apart. They're both about the same height, both the same weight. Cedric Mullins is a left-handed batter. Miles Straw is a right-handed batter. So we take a look at Cedric Mullins. He expects to be in the starting lineup. He, in 2026 with the Tampa Bay Rays, did not have a very good season, a 650 OPS. He slashed 214, 295, 355, and 82 WRC plus. Still barely a positive value player, but closer to replacement level. 17 home runs, 53 runs batted in. He stole 12 bases, 120 strikeouts, 250 walks. Our scout says that he can play capable and reliable defense, an average speedster, adequate power. Looks like an average Major League Baseball starter. That's what I think. You can see his potential gap and I ratings have dropped in the eyes of our scout over the past several months. Now, the range is good. The arm kind of worries me a little bit at only a 45 grade. Myles Straw, on the other hand, with the Toronto Blue Jays in 2026, a 634 OPS, a 78 WRC plus. So once again, not great with the bat, but 70 grade for outfield range, 65 grade for air, and 60 grade for arm. You can see his StatCast rankings were very, very ugly. But he, at least according to my head scout, 55 graded contact, 65 grade avoiding Ks, 50 grade for BABIP. Absolutely no power to speak of, but he has speed. He can run the bases. And according to our scout, well above average defense, a great threat to steal base, consistent swing, grades out as an above average contact hitter, which has not really translated so well in the sim. And really, you could take a look. It really hasn't translated in real life since 2021 in those 60 games with Cleveland. He hit 285 with a 362 OBP. Of course, no power to speak of, only a 377 slugging, but hasn't quite hit that mark ever since. And he's had a lot of opportunity to show what he can do, and he's just not quite gotten back to that level, at least for batting average. And you can see a 739 OPS with the type of defense that he provides. That's exactly what you'd be kind of looking for, an OPS that's above 700 with really, really good defense. That would be great. I think we're going to lean towards Myles Straw. Of course, he was on the Blue Jays team that won the World Series this year. He is a little cheaper. I like his defense a little more. Realistically, I don't think either of these guys are going to be really good with the bat, but really just focused on defense right now. And these are the best two options that we have available. So I am going to give a contract offer to Myles Straw, and he wants a 2-year deal. I only want to give him a 1-year deal, and I kind of wonder if maybe he would just take straight $5 million. So he really wants a 2-year deal. I wonder if I did maybe a 1-year deal, but I gave him, maybe $5.5 million, if that would maybe work. And that's fine. So, I mean, we have money to burn, and we're not expected to be too good anyway. So I'm not against giving guys 1-year offers that are above what they're asking for. So there is who is hopefully going to be our center fielder. Okay, we got that figured out. Next, we need to find a third baseman. Now, I took a look. I set up another, if we go back to free agency, I set up another filter, and I forgot to save it. So give me 1 minute. So this is the filter that I had initially set up, and it is, if you take a look here, infield arm of at least 65 grade, power at least graded out at a 50, and avoid strikeouts at least graded out at a 50. And there's only 3 options here. One of them, of course, you would not even want to put in the infield anymore. That's Nick Castellanos. We're not considering him at all. Gleyber Torres, he looks like he could obviously be a very good third baseman for us. Unfortunately, he's a compensation free agent. He's demanding at least $30 million a year. And I don't think that this is real. He's 29 years old. He's actually about to turn 30 here in a few weeks. It's November 22nd. He'll turn 30 on December 13th. This is not the kind of guy I think we should be giving a long-term deal, $30 million a year to, especially not at the state that we're currently at. We're a rebuilding team. That's not the type of contract that we should be giving out. The other option is Brian Ramos, Ramos, not entirely sure. Sorry, Brian, if you come across this video. Now, he is a leader, high work ethic. You can see he had very limited time with the Kansas City Royals this year. He only had 69 plate appearances, did not do very well at all, 455 OPS. Now, he could probably play a pretty good defensive third base, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be hitting very well. He's only 24 years old. But none of these 3 options, I think, are guys that we want to put at third base for our major league team in 2027. So then the second filter I looked at was just hypothetically, let's get rid of the power filter. Let's just look at avoid strikeouts now at least a 45 grade, but still with an arm of 65. And that gives us a few more options, but still none of them are really that interesting. You have Miguel Andujar. high adaptability, high work ethic, but I don't think this is the guy that we want at third base. This year with the Padres, he had a 700 OPS. He was a negative WAR player. His expected batting average and his expected slugging percentage both looked pretty good, but I don't really think that I want this guy as my third baseman. You can see he's fragile too, which is always a risk. Now, Sergio Alcantara could theoretically be an option. Our scout grades him out at a 45 overall. He only wants $1.9 million. He spent very, very brief amount of time with the Washington Nationals at the major league level this year. Otherwise, he spent most of his time down in Double-A. With the Nationals this year, he had an OPS of 859. Once again, limited time, 38 plate appearances. Could play very good defensive third base. He has some intriguing hitting ratings. You can see that he doesn't generate much loft in his swing, so ground balls are more common than extra bases, which will likely hold him back from earning a starting spot in the lineup. So even though the defense looks pretty good, I don't know if the offense is quite going to be there. So I don't know if we want to go with Alcantara. I'm not really too interested in Kiner Falefa. I'm not too interested in Orlando Arcia. So the options in free agency for a third base type that we're looking for aren't that great. But if you take a look at the trading block, Nolan Arenado is there. And I might be wondering, why would you try to get this guy? You know, he's 35. He's going to turn 36 a little after opening day next year. He's a captain. He has high leader, high adaptability. With the bat this year, he still had a 713 OPS. He was basically league average with the bat, 99 OPS plus, 99 WRC plus, which actually represented an upgrade over his final year with the Cardinals. This year, 10 home runs, 60 runs batted in. He had 11 stolen bases, a triple slash of 268, 317, 396. But a 3-win player, despite the fact that he wasn't super great with the bat. I know he's going to be really, really good defensively for us, and he only has the 1 year left on his contract at only $15 million. I don't think that he would cost a lot in a trade, so I'd kind of like to target Nolan and see if we can get him to be our third baseman, you know, a veteran, which I think would help the lineup, because right now our lineup outside of Trout, and I guess you could put Neto in there, but he's only going to be 26. So it's really just outside of Trout. The lineup is very, very young, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not against giving young guys, you know, a chance to see what they can do, but I think having, you know, some veterans on this team would be kind of helpful, especially a guy like Nolan, who, as I said, is a captain. You know, he might be able to help our team chemistry. So I think to figure out third base, I'm gonna go back to the trading block. So I think at third base, I'm gonna try to get Nolan Arenado from Arizona. They want to trade him, so we're gonna try to trade for Nolan Arenado from the Diamondbacks. And you can see that they're also rebuilding. So I don't think it's gonna take too much to get Nolan in this trade. In fact, if we do make this work now, yeah, I mean it's really not going to take much. I really think they just want to get him off of their books, even though they have $41 million. They have $41 million in cash, but they only have $358,000 in budget space available. So I might toss them, you know, a couple lower tier lottery ticket type prospects, you know, none of the good guys, but just, you know, I'm not even going to ask them to retain any money, you know, because I have the budget space for it. So I'm just going to, you know, look for a couple prospects that I'm comfortable giving up in this deal. It's not, you know, he's going to be, as I said, 36 after opening day. He's a 1 year rental. So it's not really worth giving up, you know, a ton for a guy like this, a guy that's obviously on the back end of his career. So we're going to trade the Diamondbacks Efrain Contreras, who is, our scout looks at 40 grade overall and potential. He's 26 years old. He doesn't have much growth left. He probably deserves a shot at the major leagues. You can see that at AAA this year in 8 starts, 10 games overall. He had a 1.90 ERA. His FIP was a good deal higher, but he still probably deserves to be in the majors. He was a 1.2 win pitcher at AAA, 2.2 at AA. He lacks motivation. His suggested role right now is a borderline starter. Doesn't have a lot of velo. So we're going to throw him over there, see if he can have any success with the Diamondbacks. I'm also going to trade them Slate Alford, who has some power potential as a first baseman. And this year at High A, he appeared in 17 games. He started 13 of them. He had a 783 OPS after hitting for an 831 OPS with Rancho Cucamonga, a guy that can hit the ball really, really hard. So we'll see what they do with the Diamondbacks. And we're going to complete this trade and get Nolan Arenado to be our third baseman in 2027. While things have been going smoothly in the dugout as of late, the players are still excited that a good captain like Nolan Arenado will keep things running smoothly, which is great. So we're going to put Arenado on our active roster, and he is going to be our third baseman in 2027. The next thing we need is a catcher, and really, I just want somebody. We're going to clear that filter. I'm not concerned about saving that. Now, the thing I'm looking at for catcher is just somebody that's good defensively that can help out our pitching staff, because we're going to have at least a couple young guys, maybe even three. We're definitely going to have Caden Dana. I think we're going to put him in the rotation next season. We're probably going to give George Klassen a shot because he was pretty solid, a 3.64 ERA. The FIP was at 4.05, so I think he earned a spot in the opening day rotation as long as he doesn't get injured. Fingers crossed. Ryan Johnson, we'll see. He might be in our rotation too, but I just want a catcher that can help them as much as possible. So we're looking for a catcher that's good defensively, that's not going to be a complete embarrassment with the bat. Now, Ryan Jeffers, defensively, he's not bad, but he wants $23.7 million. Once again, we're really not looking to do anything like that on a long-term deal. So we're going to look at the options here, see who might be helpful. So after looking through all of the options, I think we're going to go with Rafael Marchand, who used to be with the Phillies. Now he expects to be a bench player. In limited time with the Marlins, he had an OPS above 800. I would not expect that over the course of a full season. But defensively, he's pretty dang good. I think he's probably the best among guys who aren't going to embarrass you with the bat. Like, you look at a guy, a longtime OOTP players who know how good Austin Hedges could be, especially back in the day. But you can see that even despite how good defensively he was a negative value player this year. Like, I can't have my catcher hitting 159 with a 428 OPS. That's just not going to do anybody any good. Even though he is a captain, high leader, high work ethic, high baseball IQ, I just don't think it's worth it. So we're going to sign Marchand, who I don't think he's going to wow anybody with the bat. I mean, you can see his ratings, 50 grade contact. He's not going to strike out a lot, but not really any gap power, not really any home run power. His eye's not great, doesn't have a ton of speed. Although for a catcher, 40 grade's not terrible. But defensively, I think he's going to be pretty solid for us, which is what I'm worried about. You can see he was 59th percentile in fielding. So we're going to offer a contract to Rafael Marchand. He only wants $3.8 million over 1 year. I'm fine with that. In fact, would he take 3.5? Yes, he would. So Rafael Marchand is probably going to be our catcher next season. I'm probably going to sign another one closer to spring training just because Ohapi's out for another 6 to 7 months. So he wouldn't be back until, what would that be, a month or two or so into the regular season. That would be late April, May-ish at some point, probably, and that's being optimistic. So I'll probably sign another veteran the closer we get to spring training, but for right now, we're targeting Marchand to be our catcher. So we're targeting Marchand to be our catcher. We're targeting Miles Straw to be our center fielder, which would bump Christian Moore to one of the corner outfield spots. I'm going to take a look and just see what the bullpen options are looking like, because we need guys. I'm not against having Ben Joyce as our closer, but we need some veterans in the bullpen, and I think we'll be able to find some good ones for pretty cheap. We actually need a couple lefties in the bullpen, so the first guy I'm going to target is Jose Alvarado, another former Philly. He had an ERA of 3.36 this season, a FIP of 3.13. You can see his grades. He's a neutral, so he's not, like a fly ball pitcher. 98 to 100 for his velocity. He had a 122 ERA plus. He was a 1.4 win reliever this year. His StatCast rankings all look pretty good to me, so we're going to try to get Jose Alvarado. And he only wants 1 year at $7.5 million. I'll see if he would take 7, and that's good. So that'll be one of the relievers we target this year is Jose Alvarado. So the next guy we're going to target is Brock Burke, another lefty. He's a neutral ground ball, fly ball tendency. He sits 96 to 98, so he's a power pitcher. You can see his StatCast numbers actually look pretty good. He lets up a lot of hard contact. The average exit velocity is not great. But you can see that with Cincinnati, his ERA was high, but his FIP was only 3.65. They traded him to Kansas City in July, and his ERA dropped to 2.48 in 23 games, 29 innings pitched with the Royals, and a FIP of 3.23. So even with that high ERA in Cincinnati, he was still a positive value player. But with Kansas City, you can see a 166 ERA plus. Granted, it was, only 29 innings. It wasn't over a full season. But it does lead me to believe that maybe he can be a pretty serviceable middle reliever for us as a left-hander. So we're going to offer Brock Burke a contract. And he doesn't want a lot of money either. He only wants $2 million. So we're going to offer him $2 million for 1 year. And now we're going to try to find maybe another reliever. The next reliever we are looking at is Jalen Beeks, 33 years old. He'll turn 34 during the season next year. High adaptability, lets up a lot of hard contact, but with the Rangers last year in 70 innings, a 2.70 ERA and a 2.99 FIP, a 151 ERA plus. He was a 1.3 win pitcher. The velocity, nothing to write home about, only 94 to 96. The stuff's not great. The control is okay at best, but he does have a little bit of movement. He has a pretty solid fastball. The rest of his pitches aren't too great, but he did well last year, so we're going to see if he can repeat that again in 2027. He's another guy that doesn't want a lot of money. We're going to offer him 1 year, $2 million to be a middle reliever in our bullpen. And now I'd like to find one more guy, ideally a righty. So the final reliever we're going to target is Tyler Phillips, and I'm a little surprised that my hit scout is grading him this low. He only has him at 35 grade stuff, 45 grade movement, and 50 grade control. Some of his StatCast rankings are pretty appealing. Last season, he split time between the Marlins and the Reds. Both, a 3.32 ERA with the Marlins, a 3.13 with the Reds, and similar FIPS with both of those organizations. 124 ERA plus, a 140 ERA plus with both of those organizations. He was close to a one-win pitcher in total. I'm going to sign him just to see what he can do for us in our bullpen because he was pretty solid for two different organizations in 2026. And he does not want a lot of money. He wants a 2-year contract. I only want to give him a 1-year contract. And I would even go as far as $1.6 million. And so, because the Diamondbacks had offered him a 2-year contract, it seemed like. So I'll give him that 1-year contract at $1.6 million. So I think that would just about do it for bullpen pieces. I'm going to take a look now and see just if there's any starters, any veteran starting pitchers that might be worth my time. So there is one veteran starting pitcher that we're going to target this time around, and it was between Sean Newcomb and Dustin May for me, and ultimately I settled on Sean Newcomb. Part of it is he's a lefty, and I'd like to get another lefty into the rotation. Right now it's only Kikuchi. Newcomb last year, he had a 4.09 ERA, a 3.45 FIP. He tossed 141 innings, a 23.2% strikeout rate, an 8.1% walk rate. He's pretty average as far as pitchers go, but still, he was a 3-win pitcher last year for a pretty bad White Sox team, and the grades might not seem too great, but I think that he could come in and at least give us some serviceable production as a veteran starting pitcher. He's 33 years old. He'll turn 34 next year. I like Dustin May because he tossed 160 in the third innings last year for St. Louis. He started 34 games, but it's really just the righty-lefty type of thing. I think either way, I would have been solid. Dustin May is a starting pitcher. Nuke is just a neutral normal pitcher. He sits 92 to 94. Ultimately, I'm not expecting too much. Just I'd like to get solid veteran production. So we're going to give Newcomb 1 year at, would you do $7 million? Yes. So I've simulated up a few days. It is Wednesday, December 9th. The winter meetings just started today. We did get a couple signings. We did sign Jose Alvarado and we did sign Brock Burke. And we have some positive momentum with all the other contracts that we offered, but I also stopped here today because the draft lottery results were revealed. I have not looked at them yet, so we will look at them together. And we got the 3rd overall pick in the draft. It seems like the Houston Astros jumped from 10 to 1. The Twins jumped from 8 to 2. We were number 1. We dropped down to 3. The Athletics stayed at 4, the Padres jumped up to 5, and the Reds jumped up to 6. So not too upset about that. The 1st overall pick would have been nice, but we can still get a very, very good player at 3rd overall. So we'll be picking 3rd overall in the 2027 draft. So I will continue simulating up ahead here a few days, probably to the end of the winter meetings, and we'll see if we get any more signings. Okay, it is Monday, December 14th, and I have stopped here because it is the Rule 5 draft today. We have signed Sean Newcomb, so he will be in our rotation for 2027. We're still waiting on 4 more free agents. If we go to the free agent screen, we're still waiting on Marchand, Phillips, Beeks, and Straw, but all of them favor our offers, so I don't think it'll be too much longer. But if this is your first time playing the game, it's always a good idea to check on the day of the Rule 5 draft. Just go and check the Rule 5 draft pool and make sure you have all players selected. And just make sure there's nobody from any of your minor league affiliates that are Rule 5 draft eligible that you don't want to lose. If there is, you would just need to right-click on the name and you want to add them to your 40-man roster. Because we had the worst record, we do have the first overall pick in the draft, so we are going to hop in. Now, there are a couple intriguing names here. Graham Ashcraft is pretty appealing just because it's always good to have relief pitchers, and this is a guy who I think could be pretty solid for us in 2025 with the Reds in real life. A 3.99 ERA, a 2.96 FIP in 62 games as a reliever. This past season did not do quite as well, a 4.31 ERA, a 4.32 FIP, but still, I think that this is kind of a guy that it would make sense to take a chance on, just to add to the bullpen. Maybe in the best case scenario, he could work towards the back end of our bullpen and high leverage opportunities. Enrique Bradfield Jr. is another option, and this is a guy that could definitely play center field for us. A lot of speed, really high range. He's not going to make a lot of errors. The arm's not super strong, but he has some intriguing batting grades, at least according to our head scout: a 50 grade contact, 55 grade avoided strikeouts, 50 grade BABIP, an eye that seems like it could be something. He's only 25 years old. He expects to be playing in the majors. Last year at AAA at Norfolk, he had a 288 average, a 348 OBP, an overall OPS of 783. He was about a 2.5 win player, a 107 WRC plus. Really not much power, of course. He only had 7 home runs, but 19 stolen bases. He was not caught once, 40 runs batted in, a strikeout rate of just 14%, and a walk rate at 7.6%. So 2 pretty good options here. So I'm actually going to make a pick here in the Rule 5 draft. I am going to go with Ashcraft just because I know he's done it at the major league level before, so I'm going to take a chance that he figures it out again. Worst case, of course, we just offer him back to his current organization. So we're going to draft Ashcraft, and now he's going to be part of our organization. So we're just going to stick with Ashcraft this time around in the Rule 5 draft. You can see the 4 other organizations made picks. We're just going to stick with the one. I did consider some of these other names here, guys like Bradfield and Jace DeYoung, Cameron Meisner, Ryan Ward, CJ Alexander, but we're just going to stick with Ashcraft this time around. So we're just going to complete the Rule 5 draft. And that concludes the Rule 5 draft for the year. So I will simulate up ahead here again, probably to the new year, probably January 1st. I think by that time, the guys that we have contract offers out to should be signed. And then once we get closer to the start of spring training, I'm going to take a look again at the free agent market, just because once it reaches that point in the calendar, the demands for some of these guys will start to go down. I'm not against adding one of these higher tier, for lack of a better term, free agents if their demands go down, but we'll just wait to see how the market plays out. So I'm going to simulate up ahead here a little bit, and I will be back shortly. All right, it is Sunday, December 27th, just before the new year. I stopped here because we did get all of the rest of our free agents that we had contracts out to. So we got Rafael Marchand, we got Miles Straw, along with Tyler Phillips and Jalen Beeks, and of course Graham Ashcraft is now in the bullpen as well. I also stopped here because we got our midterm reports for the guys that we have in our dev lab, and unfortunately most of the guys are frustrated. One of the guys, though, is excelling, and that is Trevor Condon, who was our first-round pick in this most recent draft. So that's good to see. Nolan Shonewell is also on track for his bat speed program, but everyone else is frustrated. I'm just going to leave them in there. I'm not going to cancel any of the programs that these guys currently have. Just going to cross our fingers and hope maybe it works out. It probably won't, but at least it's nice to see that Condon and Shonewell are getting some positive results from it. So once again, I'm going to simulate up ahead here a little bit, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, it is Friday, January 15th, 2027. We have reached the new year, and the reason that I have stopped here is that it is the start of the international free agent signing period. So if we take a look here and go to the screen, these are the top names, at least according to our head scout. It's a very strong class for hitters, not quite as much for pitchers, but that's fine because I was going to target a hitter anyway. And taking a look at some of the top names here, I think the guy that I'm going to try to target this time around, of course, we do have the full $6.25 million allotment that we can spend on international amateur free agents this year. Sometimes I'll kind of break that up and try to take multiple dart throws. This time around, I think I'm going to just focus my attention on one guy. And I think the one guy that I'm going to go after this time around is 17-year-old center fielder Danny Arenado. 17 years old. It seems like he'll be able to hold his own in the outfield. The error grade as of right now isn't super great, but high leader, high adaptability, high work ethic, high baseball IQ, a student of the game, always working on the fundamentals and taking charge on the field. If everything goes according to plan, this guy could be one heck of a hitter. I don't know if the power is ever going to really come around, but we're going to take a chance on this guy. So we're going to offer him a contract, and he wants a contract with a signing bonus of $4 million. We're just going to, this generally always just gets into a bidding war for guys like this. You can even see if we go back real quick, the league interest you can see for any of these guys, and in the case of Danny, it is very high. We have a strong relationship with him, but we're just going to offer him, I'm just going to go straight up to $5 million, and we'll see if that's enough. It probably won't be, but we're just going to start there. So we're going to simulate up ahead here a few days. Contract negotiation update. So right now he is happy with our offer. I don't think it's going to be quite that easy. And as you can see, we have simulate up ahead one more day, and he says that he has a great offer from the Astros. It's going to be hard to turn them down, but I would be open to that if you could offer me more than the $6.25 million a year over the 1 year. Of course, you can't go over $6.2 million per the rules because that would be over the cap. So you can try to offer the same contract, and he says that that's an acceptable offer, so we'll get back to you soon. So we'll see if he wants to take our offer of $6.25 million over Houston or any other organization. The Hall of Fame voting results are about to get announced tomorrow, and here they are. So nobody made it in here this year for the Hall of Fame. Alex Rodriguez is at 64.2% in his 6th year on the ballot. Omar Vizquel in his 10th year dropped off the ballot at 14.7%. Buster Posey got 44.6% of the vote in his first year. Chase Utley, 41.6% in his 4th year. Pettit only has 1 more year left on the ballot. Bobby Bray, only 2 more years left on the ballot. And all of these guys here at the bottom dropped. Mark Burley was in his 7th year, and he dropped. All these other guys dropped off in their first year. Here is the latest contract negotiation update, and he is happy with that offer so far. All right, and we have a negotiation, and it seems like he would like something more rewarding from currently it is the Cubs. And, of course, once you get to this point, I have a max offer from a team that I like more than yours. I don't think you'll be able to beat that offer. That's just what's going to happen from time to time. So we'll go back to the international amateur screen. And luckily, a lot of guys that I was also looking at are still there. So I'm going to pivot to Carlos Chavez, who I don't think is actually going to stick in center field as he gets older, but I think I could put him into a corner outfield spot if all goes according to plan. A guy that power seems to be his main calling card, but it seems like he should also be pretty respectable in other areas as a hitter. So we're going to try to offer a contract to Carlos Chavez, and the Phillies have already offered him $5.7 million. So we're just going to offer him the full clip. We're just going to give him $6.25 million right off the rip, and we'll see if that does it. The preseason has also began, and we got a PM from Artie Moreno, who is still kicking, and he has actually raised our team's budget from $236 million to $250 million, which actually isn't too bad because now that the preseason has began, if we go to front office, now we have more money available to sign free agents if we want to. And if we do go to the free agent marketplace, the demands of some of these guys have dropped a little bit. You remember that Gleyber Torres wanted a lot of money initially. Now he only wants $21.9 million. Now, we're not going to sign Gleyber Torres, but it does give us an opportunity to go through these remaining free agents and see if there's anybody out there for us that might be a match. And I think that match for us is going to be Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who I think we can just stick into left field. High work ethic, and this is a guy who, he's 33 years old. He's had a pretty respectable major league career last season in this save with the Arizona Diamondbacks, 13 home runs, 54 runs batted in, 16.5% strikeout rate, a 5.8% walk rate, a 732 OPS, so he was about a league average bat last year. And as I said, the ultimate goal this offseason was just to become more respectable as a major league organization. We don't want to finish last in runs scored. And while defensively he's not super great, I think that he can hold his own in left field. So we're going to offer him a contract. Right now his demand is $10.6 million, and we obviously have the money to meet that. So we're going to offer him a contract. He wants a 2-year deal. I'm only going to give him a 1-year deal, but I want to see if I do 1 year at maybe just $11 million flat, if he would be interested in that. And he is, so we're going to give just a 1-year deal to him. We got an update from Carlos Chavez, and unfortunately, he got an offer from a team that he likes better than ours too. So let's go back to the drawing board, and that's all good because my third option that I was looking at is still there, and that is Luis Feliciano, who I don't think would be able to stick at short as he gets older, but still some pretty enticing potential batting ratings, and he has a lot of speed, strong relationship with our organization, so let's offer him a contract, and he's already received a max offer from the Giants, so we'll see if he likes our organization a little better. Probably doesn't, but we'll see. We'll take a chance. Some good news, we do get Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in an Angels uniform for 2027, which I'm excited about. I think that it will just help our lineup. So if we go to our organization and put Gurriel onto our active roster, it allows us to take either Rada or Martinez out of the starting lineup. And in this case, I probably would want to demote Rada and have him start the season at AAA just because he's only 21 years old. He has a lot of time to still develop. Last year in his first taste of big league action, it was kind of a struggle for him, a 547 OPS. So he does expect to be in the starting lineup. He's a 53rd ranked prospect in Major League Baseball, but I think just a little more time at AAA might be helpful for him. And in the meantime, we'll have a veteran in Gurriel who we know can give us some pretty competent production out in left field and in the lineup. So very excited to get Gurriel in an Angels uniform for 2027. Best case scenario, maybe if he does really, really well, we can end up trading him around the deadline for some prospects. And if he doesn't do well, it's a one-year deal. Doesn't hurt us too much. We had the money for it. Doesn't hurt to take a chance on a guy like that. And some more good news. We did get our third option in the International Amateur Free Agent signing period, Luis Feliciano. I think I said Feliciano. It's actually Feliciano. So he is going to be in our international complex here for a little bit. He's only 16 years old. Hopefully he turns out to be pretty good. It doesn't seem like he's ever going to be a leader, but high loyalty, high work ethic. Between innings, he likes to hit the batting cage. Hopefully in about 5 years, 6 years, 7 years or so, we'll be talking about this guy as a major part of our Major League roster. But for right now, very excited to get him with all of the money that we had allotted for international amateur free agents. So I will simulate up ahead here to the start of spring training. Okay, it is Tuesday, February 23rd, 2027, and we have reached the start of spring training. I did make one more very, very small move. I signed Jake McCarthy to be a backup outfielder for us just because I kind of wanted a veteran presence there on the bench as a backup. We had Vaughn Grissom to back up some of the infield positions. I wanted a veteran outfielder too, and that was McCarthy. We also signed Luis Torrens, who was still on the free agent market as a catcher. And I think he's probably going to be our starter, although it's pretty interchangeable between him and Marchand. But we're going to try to give Torrens the spot first, and then if we need to pivot, we can. I think that's a pretty solid catching duo for us. And overall, looking at the team, the lineup, and the pitching staff, I wouldn't say I'm overly confident, but I'm pretty content with how the offseason went. We got some veterans in here that I think should be able to help the team, at least early in the season. We are giving some young guys here a chance to see what they can do. We have young guys that are probably going to be ready to go at the AAA level if we want to call them up later on in the season. But I think we have our Major League roster of 26 pretty well set. It's pretty much going to be this lineup with this starting rotation, this bullpen, and I'll just go step by step here. So starting with the lineup, you're looking at a lineup of Chase DeLauder, probably leading off. I have him slated to lead off right now in right field, followed by Mike Trout, the designated hitter, Zach Neto hitting third at short, Nolan Shonowell hitting cleanup as our first baseman, Nolan Arenado, a new addition, as our third baseman hitting fifth, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., another new addition in left field batting sixth, and then Christian Moore, who we will have at second base this season, hitting seventh. Miles Straw, our new center fielder, will be hitting eighth, and our catcher, whether it's Torrens or Marchand, will always be hitting ninth. And looking at the bench, you have Marchand as the backup catcher, Grissom, who will be backing up at first base, second base, and shortstop. Jake McCarthy backing up at a couple of the outfield spots. Angel Martinez at right field as our backup DH, as our backup third baseman. And then moving on to pitching, we did add a veteran starting pitcher this year in Sean Newcomb. And right now, Yusei Kikuchi is slated to be our opening day starter, followed by Grayson Rodriguez, George Klassen, Kanan Dana, and Newcomb. And in the bullpen, we'll start with Ben Joyce as our closer, Jose Alvarado and Graham Ashcraft as our two setup guys, and then Jose Fermin, Tyler Phillips, Jalen Beeks, Brock Burke, and Chase Silseth, the other options in the bullpen. And we have some options that'll likely start the season in AAA too that we can always call up if needed. So I think right now the organization is in a pretty solid spot. Once again, I'm not expecting the playoffs in 2027. I'm not even expecting to go 500, but I think that this team will be at least a little more respectable than it was last season. I don't think that we're going to lose over 100 games. I think that we'll be more competitive overall. I think it'll just be an overall better product on the field. which I am very excited about. So in the next episode, we will start the 2027 season and hopefully get out to a pretty solid start. So once again, thank you for watching. Very sorry for the delay. I had some real life stuff pop up that kind of took part of my time, but very excited to get this episode out, and we will be back with episode number 6 very soon. So once again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.